welcome. Welcome to Love 101. And my name is Roland Gale. Good evening to everyone. Good afternoon to you as you're traveling, as you're moving about, as you're at home. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us. We want to include those who are joining us on Facebook, on YouTube Live. Thanks for coming. And remember to invite somebody to join us as well, a family member or a friend. All right. This is family time. And family time is about your issues and your relationships, your at home family, your community family, and your global family. Family time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy communities and to healthy nations. So stay with us. And remember to invite somebody to join us on Facebook and on YouTube, which are live, and you can follow us on Instagram as well. Today's program is going to be important, so stay tuned, all right? Don't go anywhere. We're talking about infidelity in Christian relationships. And let me say that again, infidelity in Christian relationships. One study tells us that more than 1 in 3 married men are stepping outside of marriage and having sexual affairs. 1 in 6 married women are cheating on their spouses. So for men, it's about 35%. And for women, the study tells us that it is 17% who are cheating on their spouses. And infidelity involves a great deal of lying, other forms of deception, and it's basically sin. It hurts both the betrayed and the betrayer. But today we're going to talk, is infidelity only about sex or intimate unfaithfulness? And how do Christians and the Christian relationships deal with such a situation? As we dive into this topic, we want you to help us. We want you to add your voices, all right? And our question is, what was your response as a Christian to infidelity in your relationship? Have you ever endured that? Have you ever been the one who was involved in the infidelity? Send us some responses via WhatsApp, and you can send voice notes. Make sure they're no longer than 30 seconds, and the numbers are 876-997-3125, or you can call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328, and you can participate that way. You can also comment live on Love 101 Facebook and on YouTube, all right? We're going to be right back. Stay with us. We have a special guest today, Reverend Winton Williams. Don't go anywhere.
Today, many relationships accept and even expect a third, fourth, or any number of secret or open liaisons. How did this age-old and famous biblical love triangle come about, and what are the lessons we need to learn from this story? Tuesday, February 28, on The Rock, join host Bishop Harold Steve Blair and guests Dr. Clinton Baldwin and Diane Hansen as they discuss the topic Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar, the love triangle. That's The Rock, Tuesday, February 28 at 10 a.m. here on the family station, Love 101.
Hey, get ready for an inspiring time inside Love in the Morning with me, your host, Jakal Dyer, this Tuesday, February 28th. At 5:45, we give love shout-outs to some creatives and businesses that are leaving footprints in their respective fields. Grab your cup of coffee and start the day right with Morning Coffee Pick Me Up Devotional at 6 a.m. Then at 7 a.m., we bring you The Morning Watch with intriguing and thought-provoking discussions. 8:30 a.m. inside The Healthy Way, we discuss arthritis. Then at 9:35 a.m., the phone lines are open for A Voice for Hope, a time for listeners to call and share challenges faced and the help needed regarding light, water, and more in your community. Stick and stay with us this Island Vibes Tuesday inside Love in the Morning, 5 to 10 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
A spiritual start.
Welcome back to Family Time. Welcome back. And thank you for staying with us and thank you for joining us. Thank you for calling your friends and your relatives to come and join us as well. And welcome to my special guest, Reverend Winton Williams. Are you on, sir?
Yes, sir. Good to be
Welcome.
here.
Yes, thank you for joining us. I want to introduce you to our listeners. And you are a medical technologist by training, but most of us probably know you for your work as a music director at Missionaries for the Poor on the Father Holong and Friends Productions. And listeners, remember, we want to hear from you. So tell us, what was your response as a Christian to infidelity in your relationship, any relationship you had? WhatsApp your text and voice notes to us. Make sure they're no longer than 30 seconds for the voice notes. And the number is 997-3125. All right. You can call the studio lines 968-8327 or 968-8328 to participate as well. And then you can comment live on Love 101 Facebook and on YouTube. All right. Now, time flies fast on this program. It's faster than normal. So, sir, let us jump right in. I want to ask you, we're talking about infidelity in Christian relationships. What is infidelity?
Yes. Perhaps the best way I could describe it is cheating. Cheating.
Cheating.
Just to put it simply, I don't like the word because I think there are so many other levels of complexities involved. It's being unfaithful to a spouse other than your lawful wedded partner. And this can involve both the physical activity, what we would quickly call adultery, sex out of wedlock, sex not with your married lawful partner. But there is also an emotional aspect to it. And very often it is the emotional aspect that I think takes us deeper into what infidelity finally gives rise to, which is an affair, having an affair with somebody, an emotional attachment, not just a physical act of having sex with another outside of your partner. But it has to do with the breaking of a commitment. And for the Christian, I am suggesting that this carries a lot of weight. That breaking of the commitment that was made. We understand we're all human beings, and I don't think that this is a program about pointing fingers, but somewhere along the line, we have to call a spade a spade. A commitment was made at the altar before God and human beings and to that spouse, and the commitment was broken. That's infidelity, as far as much of the literature has explained, and our own ideas of what took place in such a covenantal relationship.
Right. That's a very good place for us to start, sir. You said something, and I hope I remembered your phrase correctly. You said that there are different types or stages of infidelity, and it can start somewhere and then lead to people having an affair. Where does infidelity start?
You know, that's an interesting approach, because sometimes, unbeknownst to the, let me call the offender in this regard,
right, okay,
it may have just started out purely friendship. It could have just started out as pure friendship. But here's where we have to set limits, set boundaries, and really try not to let down our guards, especially if there may be issues in the relationship that are not so favorable. We may just be casually engaging. Sometimes we play with fire. We deliberately go out and play with fire. That is, we actually flirt in ways that, brother man, you go that route, man, you're setting yourself up. Why I say man? It's not just men and women, men and women. Forgive me if I may default to men, but
well, the information we got has it that men do it significantly more often than women. So
more often than women. Yeah. You know, when I said there are levels of complexities, because the drive of a man, I think, is significantly different, or what men look for versus what women look for. It's a very wide topic, very difficult, and especially when I wouldn't want to go there. Let's keep it pointed here with scriptures, and but it's a very, very complex issue, but it is possible. It is possible because God expects it of his people, and commitment is something that we must take with very serious regard, I believe, especially when we make vows under God and to God.
right.
So go ahead,
So to go with the question, it starts in where we may think things are fairly innocent, or where we
yes,
figure we
letting
can
down our
handle
guard.
it, letting down the guard,
Yes.
right? Where we think, oh,
Mhm.
I can manage this, it won't get away from me,
Yes,
and
correct.
then it accelerates from there.
It accelerates. There is a way in which we also rationalize in our minds, this is okay. Have to be careful. And one of Jesus says, boy, desire truth. Go for truth with ourselves and before God. It's a difficult path to travel because we give into situations, especially if we feel it might be a little too difficult. We find ways to soften it. And one of the ways is through rationalizing. God will understand if I slip up here or slip up there, which he will. I mean, but don't that's presumptuous sinning if you're deliberately set out. You have to be careful and don't vex with God. Don't vex and get soft and mushy. He has called us forth to a life where he says many are called, few are chosen. So don't take it like it's going to be an easy walk. A victorious walk, yes, certainly. But let's be aware and careful of the things that we begin to rationalize and kind of treat it as insignificant. What's so wrong with that and so forth? It really does get into some serious areas, as we
It
will discover.
it really does. And another question along that line. Uh, can we all come to the same conclusion about what constitutes infidelity, or will it be different for different people? All Christians, we are all Christians, but will infidelity look different to this Christian as opposed to that Christian?
Yes. In other words, is it relative? Is it
Is it
subjective? Is
relative?
it
Is it subjective?
yes?
Right.
Yeah. Well, look, we can make that statement about anything. Look at the world in which we're living in now. It's
Yes.
not any more discernible whether you're male or female. You can be somewhere in
Yeah.
between. And we're not
Yeah.
talking about that. But I'm saying this is where things can get to if we don't properly take a stance, take a position. If you're going to be wrong, you're going to be wrong. What constitutes, I prefer to answer it this way, the commandments, according to Jesus, gets to matters of the heart. It's
Right.
not even so much the physical, but where it is birthed begins with the intentions of the heart. So that's how I would
Beautiful
answer
place
that.
for us to break. Beautiful place for us to break, Rev. We're going to go for a quick break. And at this point, as you know, our numbers are 920-1034 and 926-8101. Don't go anywhere, because right now it's time for WTF, Words to Flesh Moments with Reverend Mike. All right, stay tuned.
The Bible takes a strong stance against infidelity. In Exodus 20, one of the commandments powerfully declares, "You shall not commit adultery." In Deuteronomy 22, God's chosen people, the nation of Israel, faced tough consequences for breaking that commandment. If a man is found lying with the wife of another man, both of them shall die. Wow, capital punishment for infidelity. In the New Testament, John 8 tells a story of a lady caught in adultery. Instead of supporting the death penalty for her, the Lord Jesus, God Himself in the flesh, pardoned her. Is this an indication that God has gotten soft on the matter? No, it instead is clear revelation that God's love is all powerful and forgiveness is available in this time for those of us whose sentence should be death. The tough lesson, though, may be that as the person wronged in the relationship, we should follow the example of God to forgive and show love to the unfaithful spouse. Admittedly, this is difficult. But 1 Peter 4 says to all of us, "Therefore be self-controlled and sober-minded. Above all, keep loving one another, since love covers a multitude of sins." Self-control and sober-mindedness will keep you from infidelity. However, if you are an unfaithful spouse or the victim of infidelity, we pray you will draw on the love of God to find forgiveness and the strength also to forgive. I'm Reverend Mike from Fellowship Tabernacle Ministries, and we just had a WTF moment.
The February 5 off 50 sales event at Home and Things is here. Take $5 off every $50 you spend. Save big on the brands you know and trust, from beautiful Spanish and Brazilian tiles to exquisite bathroom fixtures and faucets from Corona, Moen, and other top brands. Check out stylish doors, windows, paints, and home decor that inspire beauty and elegance. It's the February 5 off 50 sales event happening now. Old Hope Road and Constant Spring Road.
What are the benefits of simplified CDD for consumers? Simplified CDD, or simplified customer due diligence, means that it is easier and faster and more convenient for customers that are assessed as low risk for money laundering to open their accounts. This financial literacy tip was brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy.
Kingdom Culture presents The Well Encounter with Maverick City's Chandler Moore and Naomi Rain, Kevin Downswell, Carlene Davis, Rondell Positive, Rhoda Isabella. Tickets at SparOpen.com/TWE22. Supermed Pharmacies, Sangster's Bookstore, 876-676-5953. Sponsored by Clear Sound, Caledonia Outdoor Advertising, Purity Chase Fund, Cleaner Communications Group, Race KFC. Part proceeds to Food for the Poor. The Well Encounter, Saturday, March 18th, Sabina Park, 6:30 p.m.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for staying with us. And we are talking about this matter of infidelity in Christian relationships. And listeners, remember, we're asking you, what was your response as a Christian to infidelity in your relationship? We're looking forward to your stories, for you to tell us what your account is, all right? You can WhatsApp, text, or voice notes to 997-3125, and you can comment live on Love 101 Facebook and on YouTube as well. All right, you can call the studio lines and we'll talk with you. Those numbers are 968-8327 or 968-8328. And I'm sure Reverend Winton Williams will be happy to respond to any questions you have. We have been getting some very insightful comments from him, and we're glad that he has joined us today. And Rev, just before we left, we were talking about the heart, and that everything starts or is based in what our heart is like. And so I'm going to ask you, thinking about the heart as the foundation, what are some of the causes of infidelity?
Yes. Yes, I took that approach actually because I think it is one of the best approaches, how Jesus tackled it. The causes, well, this is where accountability comes into the picture, because sometimes we, honestly, partners may just be selfish outright. That's a hard thing to say. It's all about my needs. And if my needs are not particularly being addressed, I will seek it outside. I have options, we may say to ourselves. And so we may venture into other people's relationships to try and solicit jealousy in a partner to do better or more for us. Sometimes another reason we just don't fail to, we just fail to take serious the consequences of our actions. We don't think much. Sometimes we don't have a bad relationship. The relationship is good, but we are careless in how we manage ourselves, ignite a fire, and pursue it without considering consequences. A girl might look good on the outside. Wifey will get a little older, or wifey, boy, you're sagging here and there. And we begin to rationalize, and we see the younger, the perkier. We don't need to go there. We really don't. And we see the younger, and what we do, we don't ask the question, if I start something with this person, where is it likely to end up? Am I going to take you on and become a bigamist? What's going to come out of this? We don't think through carefully the consequences and its impact, especially where children are also involved with the family. Sometimes we just think, we're not going to get caught. Simple. And I'm talking about Christian people. Nobody going to sin, nobody going to talk. We're not going to get caught. You're asking about causes. Sometimes we just believe it would have been the answer to our problems of loneliness, of low self-esteem. Somebody likes me here. Let me pursue it a little bit more. Wife not giving me the kind of respect, or husband not fulfilling my needs as I would want him to. And we just venture out because we just don't feel very happy. The fact of the matter is, we entertain these different ideas. We swim in it for a while until we become accustomed and it becomes familiar, a familiar place to be. I think it's important we get that world shaken up properly, so that we can redirect our focus. It's human beings like you and me, bro, get caught in this madness.
Caught in this madness. And you said something a little while ago that made me really pause for a moment in regard to Christians. And you said that we don't think that there will be consequences.
Yeah.
I think that's what you said, that there may not be consequences, or we won't get caught.
Lifelong consequences.
Right, but how would we as Christians come to that conclusion, knowing what we know and believing what we believe?
How would we come to the conclusion
that there are no consequences or no lifelong consequences?
Yeah, again, we
is a matter of the heart.
It's our walk with God. Listen. All of us go through it. All of us go through the temptations. All of us go through the reality of this journey we call faith. Faith in God. We are living at a point now where that is very threatened. Relationship with God is being threatened. It has always been, but it's in our face even more now. There was a time when it used to be men who pursued women. Now it's the women pursuing the men. Things have changed. Men have no clue anymore what it means to even be manly anymore. And women have likewise just become, the whole world is in confusion. I am suggesting when we go off track, how do we know? How do we conclude? They are darkened in their understanding and separated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them due to the hardening of their hearts. Ephesians 4, verse 18 onwards. I am saying to us, Ephesians 4, 18 onwards. Beautiful read. Beautiful read. Having lost all sensitivity, they have given themselves over to sensuality so as to indulge in every kind of impurity with a continual lust for more. Why I love scriptures is not to be holier than thou foolishness. It's because there is wisdom. It's food for thought. It is going to help me to manage my life, to manage the things that I manage my thought world. What am I doing? This girl turns me on. What do I do? I am a married, happy man. I would think I am in this, I'm a happy man. I have my kids. I'm happy. Why am I going to venture here? This is the beginning of moving away from God. Dietrich Bonhoeffer said once, when men are consumed with sinful lusts, it's not that they hate God, but rather that they have turned away from God. I am saying we have to be honest about our faith walk. Who is it we want to please? From who is it we don't? So that would be my response. How can you conclude that I am messing up here, that I'm doing the bad thing, when I know I have no more interest in what God has to say? I have experiences, and some of them I don't think it's really wise for me to share. God has broken through. God has broken through in my moments of weakness. I know I am not God, my brother. I know I am not God. God broke through. And I'm saying, and I'm encouraging people, turn to God for help. Don't make it a churchy thing. Don't make it a Christian thing. Make it your relationship with Him. You and God alone. Amen.
Amen, sir. And we are up on a break, but I just love something you said a little while ago about this reliance and this dependence on the word of God, because you're not making it a holy and thou, oh, let us go pick up the Bible every time something happens. But the truth of the matter is, when we as Christians look at other people, you realize that they are able to draw on the word that they know. We sometimes are not able to draw on the word that we should know. So you will find people who are not Christians can give you all kinds of information and wise inspirational words and quotes from people from all over. And we who are Christians don't know the word of God. Don't know it well enough.
Point. Very, very good point, Roland. Very good point.
Well, you raised the point. I'm just repeating it.
well, no, but you have ingested it well. You see, you have ingested it. In other words, we have to be careful that we don't become secularized and push God out. Yes.
Absolutely. Who it is that fuels us is who should be able to tell us how things work and direct us. Absolutely, sir. We have a break coming up. It's about 6 o'clock by my clock. It says it is 6 o'clock on the dot. So we're going to take a quick break. Listeners, remember, we want to hear from you. I got a comment from Sharon, and I will read it when we get back. So don't go anywhere. Thank you for being with us, and we're going to go for a break shortly.
Today, many relationships accept and even expect a third, fourth, or any number of secret or open liaisons. How did this age-old and famous biblical love triangle come about, and what are the lessons we need to learn from this story? Tuesday, February 28th, on The Rock, join host Bishop Harold Steve Blair and guests Dr. Clinton Baldwin and Diane Hansen as they discuss the topic Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar, the love triangle. That's The Rock, Tuesday, February 28th at 10 a.m. here on the family station, Love 101.
Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. I am with Reverend Winton Williams, and I'm so glad that he is with us because he has been saying some stuff that I know I'm going to be thinking about for a good while. Our topic today is infidelity in Christian relationships, and it sounds almost like we shouldn't be talking about this, but it happens. And I got a comment from Sharon in St. Thomas, and I want to read it. It says, I was married for close to 30 years. My spouse was unfaithful for most of those years. I have forgiven him and stayed until the children became adults. Then I left. It's a serious comment. What would you say having heard that, and how would you approach a situation like that?
Yeah, let's first appreciate what Sharon must have been going through. Let's be respectful of that space, because you know, when you find out, it's a disrespect, it's a mistrust, it's a kind of hurt and woundedness. Why is he doing this? Why was it me? Was it something I didn't do properly? And she held on, married to him for 30 years. That's a long time to endure. One of the things that I would ask of couples, especially if there's a couple who may desire, the offender in this case, who may desire, well, I would ask, the offended, do you desire to still continue the relationship with this person? I would ask to find out. Was there during the time any kind of exchange, any discussion as to why is he doing this? Why are you doing this? Is there something I could do differently? You need to ask pointed questions like, do you still, Sharon, want to get back with him? Because if you do, there is hope, I think, for reconciliation. But a lot of that is going to depend on the offender. If he wants to get back and continue in that marital covenant. She says she has left, and biblically speaking, she would not be going against anything. Biblically, Jesus did say, except for the grounds of infidelity, unfaithfulness, you may divorce. She didn't say she has divorced, but she has left. So she could have just left that space that they used to occupy, left him, and just continued with her life. But there is always possibility to reunite. And I think, generally speaking, even when Jesus uttered those words, we don't hear him necessarily saying, oh, he or she committed adultery, cut it off, divorce. What we hear him saying, this can be grounds if you so desire. But if not, sometimes grace, people encounter the grace of God differently. And people need their space and their time to work through. I don't know if Sharon is final on this. I don't know if the gentleman, the husband, is in any way wanting to reconcile. If he does, there are ways to go about owning up to the hurt that you caused and brought into the relationship, accountability, to call it out, to say why, what was happening. Now, after 30 years, sometimes we'll have to modify some of these questions. Thank God she has had her kids, you know, and so forth. So that would be my general approach. I would ask pointed questions, but you can't hit her or in any way wrong her for enduring it for the sake of the children. God bless her for that. And but there is still possibility for reconciliation that we can figure. Is there any? And then under God, is she a Christian? All these kinds of questions we can get into, you know.
Very
going,
well put.
Yes.
Very well put, Rev. And I have so many questions of my own. I want to say to Sharon, thank you so much for posting this comment and for sharing this with us, because it certainly puts some stuff on the table that that we really hadn't started to talk about yet. And one of the things that I see on the table here is the question of when you find out versus when did this occur. And she said that her spouse was unfaithful for most of the years. When did she find out? What was he unfaithful after she found out still, or did he stop?
Did they dialogue? Right. Did they dialogue about it? These are the questions. So it's going to be difficult to say with any kind of clarity.
Certainty.
Right. What I find beautiful is she says, I had forgiven him.
Yes.
And those are words of grace. Mercy.
Yes, I was getting to that.
Yes. And so I may detect a bit of Christianity there that could be peeking out. I'm not sure if she is. But I found that very yes. Go ahead.
It encouraged me that she forgave him, to be quite honest, because
for her sake, for her sake,
for
her sake as well, that she doesn't carry this bitterness, which it could become, or anger, or woundedness, and probably pass it on to her children. You know, hate him. I hope there all kinds of things can come out. You know,
right.
There
are two things. Or no, let me keep it down to one. There's one more thing I would like to say about the comment from Sharon, and it is this question here: is it that once somebody is unfaithful, they will continually be unfaithful, repeat the infidelity, or can we say that it can be once and never again? How do you approach that, Rev?
No, I believe it can be once and never again. I really truly believe, and this is not pie in the sky talk. I think because the reasons for infidelity vary, you know, from just how I feel about myself, or perhaps if she could do things differently, or, you know, perhaps if he were a little bit more honest. Things can change, which can modify the relationship, especially Christian relationships. So I don't believe once unfaithful, always. No. We all mess up in life, no? We all mess up. Once I used to do things a certain way, criminal used to gun down people, but then they met Jesus and something happened, some change. I have to believe in that. Jesus believed it. when he looked at Peter. Come on. So many years you've been working and traveling up and down with me, Peter. And I even prophesied and told you the day is coming before the cock crows twice. You're going to disappoint me and let me down and deny me. Peter could not even think it at the time until it happened to him. Could any of us trust Peter after that? Jesus did. And
Forgave him and
reinstated
trusted
him.
him. Yeah,
Merciful.
forgave him.
Merciful.
Yeah.
So I have to take the position of Christ and train myself to think that way. Think of my own weaknesses and failures always before me, and the fact that God still forgives me according to his word. No, man,
Wow.
I'm not
you got to yeah, you got to a very interesting point. So here's my next question now, Rev.
Yes.
How does the offender view the spouse who chooses to stay in this relationship? What does the offender think, or how does the offender rationalize that?
Again, that could vary. It varies based on the cause. If it was a very upsetting relationship, for instance, angry, mess up, and the offender is just vexed, there are many ways that infidelity can show its face there, through revenge. You know, it could just be this habitual, reckless, having relationships with a whole heap of people, not even one single outsider. It can manifest itself in so many different ways, depending on the reason. But if in truth and in fact, baby, I really messed up on this one, I really messed up, I shouldn't have done it, I don't know what happened and whatever. Listen, there are situations like that. You mess up. Because you say again, male, female, the needs are different. The needs for men are different. The needs for women are different. As much as we want to sweep all of that under the carpet and treat all of us as one big glob of humanity, God says, well, male and female, and you know, there are just these differences emotionally, physically. There are different reasons, and the cause for which one partner leaves will have a lot to do with, will they ever decide to come back? And if they do, how would they view the offended party? It depends. Are you repentant enough,
right,
to want this thing to work?
Right.
It's a big topic, Ro. It's a big topic, and
is.
Man, it's going to take us a lot of places to go through. So I'm doing my best to condense, you know?
No problem, and you're doing a great job, Rev. And Sharon has actually responded, and she has given us some more information. She said that she had suggested counseling with her partner. He did not want to do counseling. And she went on to say that it was a constant set of
different persons,
actions with different people. And she went on to let us know that she is indeed a Christian. And so we want to thank you again, Sharon, for sharing with us and for giving us the info. I mean, this is such an important topic, and for you to be able to add and to give us more enlightenment, we really appreciate it.
Wonderful.
And Rev, what you were saying a while ago is exactly this. Is exactly this. Different people over different years.
That's
and
habitual,
she tried. That's habitual. She tried.
Offer them counseling. That's the grace element.
Absolutely.
Let us try counseling. If you want to reconcile, Roland, you will pursue that option. I have messed up. I have offended you. I have done wrong. Accountability will tell me, if I want this thing to work, look, man, let's do whatever it takes.
Let's do whatever it takes. And that's basically what Jesus did for us, you know, Rev. He did whatever it would take.
Well,
and we were the most adulterous group of people in this world. I tell you. Time is upon us, and it is almost 6:15. So we're heading into our final break now, right? This is Family Time on Love 101 FM. All right. For our social media interaction, we want you to tell us, What was your response as a Christian to infidelity in your relationship? Let us know via WhatsApp, text, and voice notes, all right? Don't go away. We're going to be right back with Reverend Winton Williams. Stick around, there's more to go.
Hey everybody, I'm Ashley.
I'm Jakal.
I'm Victor.
I'm Chantel.
And we are
The Pulse Podcast.
You can find us every Saturday at 7 p.m. on Love 101 FM JA's YouTube channel.
Yes, 7 to 8 p.m. And ensure you follow us on social media, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram.
At the Pulse Podcast JA.
The Pulse Podcast, your weekly source of authentic, Jamaican, faith-based, creative content and edutainment.
About culture, creative expressions, and games. This is the Pulse Podcast.
Every child needs a family. Become a foster parent and help to give a child this precious gift. For more information, call the Child Protection and Family Services Agency at 876-948-2841-2. Visit childprotection.gov.jm or any of our offices island-wide. Every child desires to be loved and protected. You can make this a reality. Open your heart. Open your home. Foster a child today.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. And the time has just flown by. It is almost the end of our program. But right now, it is 6:17 p.m. and we are here. And I have with me our guest, Reverend Winton Williams. Thank you so much for being with us, Rev. Appreciate your time and your insights. Thank you for being here with us. And you guys are tuned to Love 101. This is Family Time. And Family Time is brought to you by Family Life Ministries. We provide counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Listen out for our numbers in Kingston and Portmore at the end of this program, all right? Remember, we are on Facebook and YouTube Live, so tune in however you can tune in. The topic today is infidelity in Christian relationships. And we know Reverend Winton Williams for his work as music director at Missionaries for the Poor and the Father Holong and Friends Productions, and those things are top quality. So here's some more information from the study. We mentioned that study earlier on when we just joined, and there's more information from that. It says 3/4 of men who admit to having had an affair also admit to having more than one affair, and 30% admit to having more than 5 different affairs. That tells me something. Rev, are you hearing it?
Yes.
What does that tell you, Rev?
Are these in Christian relationships or non-Christian?
I think these are just general. They didn't specify
General.
Christian and
Well,
non-Christian. Yeah.
Well, generally, people have to, for non-Christians, people would have to make up their own standards. What their value systems are. For the Christian, the child of God, you know, we take our directives from Scripture. So if it is among the Christian community, no, I would have to say, hey, come, what's going on?
What's
going on? You know, it's not that you're hurting people, whether the spouse, the offended, knows about it or not. You're hurting them by creating mistrust. You are certainly living a life which is deceptive, having them believe one truth when in fact you are living another truth. Mm-hmm. You dishonor the marriage, you dishonor yourself, you dishonor your partner. There's a lot of mess involved. And so the question of your whole integrity as a person must be brought into accountability and check. You see, look, I prefer to be a hard talker because I have to speak to my own spirit constantly. This is a decision you constantly have to wake up every morning and make. Whose side are you on? Whose side are you on? Come on. And it's a call and a shout out to our men. We have to to get a grips. David, one of the big stalwarts of God, was not immune to it. So we shouldn't think that we would be casually, fooling around with these girls. Just take it down. We acknowledge. I love to call out pretty girl before I call out, okay? So I know quickly what I'm dealing with, who I'm dealing with. I just call out what it is. That's how it impacts me. That's how I've lived my life, and God in his graciousness has been faithful. Faithful. It's a good God.
Absolutely. He's always faithful. Me? I'm with you, sir. He's always faithful.
Yeah, man.
And you said it earlier in the discussion, the matter of accountability. And I want us to talk a bit about it. But before we do that, let us take a voice note. We've received a voice note.
Sure.
Good night, panel. What would you do if you, as a Christian, started a relationship with a man? He is a Christian as well, but when you realize he has a next girl, a next woman pregnant for him, what would you do?
Wow, did you hear that, Rev?
Yeah. I'm a little curious. He has a next woman who is pregnant. When does he know about this pregnancy? Is the relationship still ongoing with the other person? He says he's a Christian. What's the how do you understand that statement? What do you get from it? Because I am a Christian, I can say that. But if it's going to be just purely words, is that sufficient grounds to accept a person's love or relationship, build a relationship purely on that? Is there some other kind of evidence? Look, people can say anything. I'm a Muslim. How about that? How about that, Ro? I'm a Muslim, or I'm a Satan worshiper. How that sound?
Boy.
We have to dig. You agree?
Yes.
We have to dig.
Yes.
It's all right. It's your right. It's your right. Find out. When you say you're a Christian, what does it you mean by that? Because if you currently have this woman who also is pregnant, why are you now pursuing me? As a man, I would say, don't be unfair to the woman. She just may be at a vulnerable point in her life. Don't fool her up. If you know you're going to be dealing, what's the situation with this woman and the pregnancy? A lot of issues are going to come up. Who is going to father that child? Are you going to father that child? And if so, where do I come into the picture?
So many questions. So many questions come up. Many questions come up. I mean, I'm trying to remember everything she said in her voice note, but the foundation for me is the truthfulness of their Christian walk. That's the foundation for me. If you're going to claim it, then you're going to have to act it. You're going to have to behave it. And if the other lady is pregnant for him now, that means that not a lot of time has passed. So is it that he is? There's so many questions with that. She said, "What would I do?"
Where is his mental? Where is his mind?
Yeah.
Where is his mind?
Her question to us, Rev, was what would you do? That was her question. And for me, if I were to answer her honestly, I would walk far.
It's not a relationship you want to get into. Too many unanswered questions.
Yeah.
Too many unanswered questions. It's a hard thinking. It's in love. They say it's blind. I don't believe it is. For really, I know. And I know women are out there wanting to tie the knot, time running out for them. I know it's a lot of pressure on the women. A lot of pressure.
I see a comment. Yeah, I see a comment from a lady, and the comment is that's a no-brainer. And that may be a hard comment because your heart is also your heart is also involved. But the
Yeah,
truth is, I
man.
would walk far. I would just walk
Walk
far.
far, man. You want too many unanswered questions that
Yeah, yeah,
don't
yeah,
even
yeah.
seem to add up to Christian. I'm a
No,
Christian man.
no,
Yeah.
it doesn't sound that way to
Come
me.
on.
And there is another comment from Carol from Southfield in St. Elizabeth. And she says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Interesting topic." Yeah, it is a very interesting topic. And she says, "My husband deliberately went out of our marriage to get a woman pregnant, saying he wants sons to carry on his name." We could stop there and have a long discussion, but let me
Long
continue.
discussion. Very good.
She has a son for him, wanted for the child to live with me, and I refused. He went further, found another woman. She also has a son for him,
Yeah.
and he's currently living with the other woman.
Yeah.
She didn't ask a question. She didn't
No. But
ask us for any advice or anything. But Rev, what would your comments be
no.
when you hear
It's
this?
not a wholesome setup at all. I don't
No.
know the mind again of this man. Is she unable to have any children? Does she have a girl child already? Does he have any children with her?
Yeah.
Is a question. Can I just put in this, because I know time is against us. Do you know, biologically speaking, it is the male of the human species that determine whether a child is male or female? Biology tells us a woman can only produce X chromosomes. X, when her egg can only carry an X chromosome. The male sperm can either carry an X or a Y. Listen carefully. The combination of a Y sperm, an X sperm and an X egg, which is all the woman can produce, that XX gives you a girl. The combination of a Y sperm to the woman's X, again, she can only produce X, gives you an XY, a boy. When men disrespect women because them not get them boy picnic, who is the weight rested on? It's on the male. It is the male
Rev,
that carries. You got that?
That is such, I got it, but that is such an interesting
very interesting.
That's such an interesting point, because she says that he went and had sons with two other women.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah. It's I don't know if he's ignorant. I don't know if he's not a strong thinker, because we have a lot of taboos and, you know, what you call these things, voodoo thinking, where,
Right.
you know, you do kind of weird things. I don't know if it's a person like that, but what's going on here? You see, this goes for unfaithfulness, is what I'm saying. Infidelity.
Yeah.
The woman, is up to the woman. I would push where you can, work for reconciliation, if at all possible. But if it's not, ground has already been laid. Sorry to sound so harsh, but I
don't think you're sounding harsh.
I don't think so. Okay, all right.
I don't think you're sounding harsh. Maybe I'm harsh as well. But Rev, the time has flown. The time is gone. It's
a big discussion. It's a big topic.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I want to tell you so much, sir. Thank you for being with us. Is there one word of encouragement you would share with our listeners where it regards to infidelity?
You know, to those who have been hurt, whether male or female, Psalm 147 and verse 3. God heals the brokenhearted, and he binds up their wounds. May those of us who have been through, gone through, those of us who have tried to bring reconciliation, those of you who have forgiven, continue the walk of forgiveness, at least for your own soul, that you do not become bitter and angry, but that you can experience release. For those who have offended and seek reconciliation, there are a couple of things I want you to think about.
We have to wrap though, Rev.
We have to wrap. God bless. Yeah. God bless. I understand.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rev.
God bless you.
And To our listeners, we want to say join us again next week at 5:30 on Love 101. And we're going to have another very interesting program for you. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thanks to Reverend Winton Williams, to our show producer, Kathy Gale, Open Door Communications, our studio facilitator, Timoy Butler, and of course, all of you listeners for joining us. Stay well, stay safe, stay blessed. I'm Roland. God bless you.